everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Not Your Typical Couple in New York.
Hi everyone, hope you're well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it has been probably almost 2 weeks for a national
Quarantine.
or nationwide
Yeah.
quarantines being placed. And we hope everyone who's watching is currently in good spirit and good health, certainly. So we thought, this is only been 2 episodes journey for us, but we've already heard some of our viewers give us some feedback. Thank you so much, and also don't forget to subscribe. We recently found out you can actually subscribe to our channel.
With just one click.
Yeah, just click down there, I think, and where you can see subscribe, and just click that, and that way you will see new videos or get notifications for new videos when it comes out. So one of the things that we heard from our viewers are comments such as you guys have demonstrated such positive vibes even amidst so many things that's going on in the world. It's definitely something that people have noticed and acknowledged, and which makes me feel like, wow, yeah, like when I went back and watched all those videos, I didn't necessarily, and that wasn't the first thing came to my mind. Of course, we're being super critical of ourselves, but I mean, thank you so much for pointing that out. But today, we thought, one of the things that when we set out to do this, we told ourselves we don't want to just showcase everything in its best light, and as if everything going on in our life is just smooth sailing, champagne and sunshine all the time. So today we want to actually talk about something that's a little bit not so positive, but
because life is hard.
life sure is hard. And from the title you can tell we recently gone through something. It's tough for us. It's also personal,
Emotional.
Emotional, definitely. But we thought, it's sometimes when I heard, stories being told from the people who actually experienced that, and the learnings and things that the emotions that they actually felt, even if it doesn't always end positively, for us it's still an ongoing saga almost.
Yep.
So we're still dealing with it, but we thought, why don't we share with everyone what we've gone through and how we as a couple deal with tough situations when they arise. Lincoln,
Yep.
I know you have been fighting tooth and nails for your own career change for some time, and recently I know that you have, it's not a small setback, right? I know that you have put a lot of your efforts into something that you thought would definitely materialize
Turn out to be good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it turns out now that's not the case.
Exactly. So I wonder. So without going into too much detail, as I mentioned, it's actually very personal. But without going into a lot of extraneous detail about what that thing is, basically what happened is that something that we really really want, especially Lincoln has really put a lot of high hopes on. It didn't pan out as we hope it to be. And it literally just happened this weekend. I mean, it's been going on for quite some time. The journey you took, as a sometimes bystander, I don't even know how you deal with that emotionally. I know a lot of times like guys don't even share their emotions, and and so I would love to just first of all maybe hear from you firsthand what you have gone through, and maybe just as much as you want to share.
Okay. I've been in the career change for some time, and recently there's a one promising jobs. I thought I was a good candidate. I put a lot of efforts into it, and the process going smooth at first, so my expectation was pretty high. And suddenly, and after very close to the final round, and they suddenly give me a rejection.
Mm-hmm.
So even I going through many coordinations, update my like solution. There's like decision still like final. Don't give me a second chance.
Yeah.
So notify me actually just last night, and yeah, it's pretty tough for me,
Yeah.
and then for you as well.
I would say definitely. I mean, it's not too big of a surprise because sometimes when we hear back from, especially in terms of, job searching wise, when things aren't going as well, or in your case, you literally got a rejection, right?
Yeah.
So, but I know someone like you, what I truly admire about you is that when you saw that message and you're like, okay, so this is pretty, stricken, right? Like I can see you like visually, kind of on the edge of class, but then you quickly put together a new report based on their feedback, and then trying to just fight for it and see if there's possibly a second chance. Granted, I don't think most of the times that will work. I personally have not done that, but just in your case, I think because you have done so much and you've put so much in that process, and sometimes just hearing something such as hey, you've done so much, but unfortunately that's still not what we're looking for, when they could have told you probably a bit early on in the process, right? Because I don't know, there is a lot of things that could play into that final decision, but what I thought you have done really well was that you really like I said, you didn't mentally give up. You still want to just give it a last go, even though I can tell it's super hard on you, and you still basically finish that last mile and trying to fight for yourself, which I thought was incredible.
Thanks.
Yeah. So one thing I'm just curious about, I think for a lot of couples out there, when something really tough happened to your spouse or significant other, for me, in terms of what I've experienced, I felt what you felt, right? So at that moment, I could have said something, hey, don't give up, it's okay, let's move on. Like I think I probably said something like that, but you probably can tell I wasn't feeling 100% myself, right? I was kind of like, very bummed out as well. So that's one thing I learned from this process, was that about myself, right? Like I am someone who tend to be almost like overprotective of my own feelings, and when I feel most vulnerable, even though that it didn't necessarily happen on me personally, but because just in such close proximity with you, and just seeing how everything unfolds, I feel like I felt personal as well. So one thing I thought I could have done better was process that emotion myself, and not to say that don't show that you don't feel for each other, but more often than not, probably maybe give you a hug when it happened. I remember when it happened.
Oh, you give me a lot of hug.
I mean, afterwards, when that happened, I literally just stared at you, and I was like, oh, and I felt all the feelings at that moment, just coming through and go in my own body and also in my own mind, and I was processing myself, and also I was in the middle of something myself, so my eyes literally shifted pretty much in that second and be like, let me focus on what I'm doing right now, and then let's deal with the emotional part, which I didn't necessarily think was the best approach at that time, even though I think from your side you pretty much handled your emotion and you processed yourself, and when I realized, hey, maybe that's the time when I need to sit down with you and sit with your emotions, and let's just feel sad for a moment. I mean, I could have done that sooner. I don't know if that's how you felt at the moment.
I think after I saw those rejections decisions, at first I feel pretty sad, but I also need taking some time to feel my emotions. Also, like creating a plan. So what's to do next? Either like move forward, or you like take another shot because you have done so much work, and not actually like not many people like fight for second chance. In reality, it only takes you 1 day or two, as you have already put so much effort in it. You can take it as sink cost, but the marginal cost and benefit is pretty like favorite. So that's why rationally I think, okay, emotions, that is, I can deal with that later. But from the cost benefit analysis, it's good for me to take another shot.
Interesting.
And when you do that second shot, because you already kind of like acknowledge that your chance decrease a lot. So even if I finally still get a rejection, but that like gap or expectation fell is still not that much. I can deal with that.
So it sounds like we went through a very similar process where from the get-go we're like, okay, emotion aside, let's think rationally what we can do to move forward. But like you probably heard what I just said, and I thought it would be better for me to process that emotion with you side by side for some time. I still do think we need to acknowledge our pain in the moment. From what I observe what you typically dealt with your emotion, you tend to hide it, probably like many other guys out there, right? Like you hide your emotions and you still want to hold that breath and until you see that final doors being shut,
Yeah.
there's no light whatsoever, and then you kind of like, oh my god, this is out of my control, or I can't fix it anymore. So one interesting, I guess, learning for us would be sometimes you just acknowledge and not to accept being like, hey, I failed again and so bad, but more like, hey, this didn't pan out as we thought it would. We would like it to be, but let's take a moment and process and feel the pain.
Give your permission to be human.
Exactly, yeah, give us permission to be human. And even the next day when you actually heard a little bit good news from something else, I didn't even allow myself to feel the joy. I literally saw your face lighten up and I was like, oh my god, I want to feel the joy. But then because my protective nature of my own feelings, I was like, okay, let's not be too
manage expectations.
Exactly, let's manage this. Let's tone it down, okay? And there might be a million other things factor into it, and let's not jump at it and just jump with joy. So it's very interesting to see how we each deal with our own feelings.
Right.
But together as a couple, I thought, I still learned so much from you. I know that you, you this morning I even heard you were talking with your friend who now becomes your accountability partner, which you've never done it before. I don't know if it's a guy thing or a girl thing, but when I was job searching and doing something that I thought was incredibly hard, I remember I did have someone who's doing the same thing around the same timeline with me, so I value the bond or the togetherness very much, and so it's really I felt excited for you when I heard that you have someone like that by your side, and you also help that person to work on something that they have wanted to do for a long time. So tell me how did that come to your mind and shifted your mindset, I guess?
because I just mentioned the final rejection I received last night. So actually I didn't sleep well last night. So this morning I take some like actions. First, think about what I've done wrong, what kind of mistake I made during the past, and the second is what kind of actions I should take. Because for me, in order to like improve my feelings and to gain the momentum, I have to take something, to take some actions. After you see the result, you can gain the momentum like step by step. So that's why like how I think I can like take those actions to improve how I feel, to change the current situation. That's the rationale like behind all those actions.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and I know that you immediately sort of not like shifted or not pivoted, but you were able to truly reflect on what you learned from that experience, not to like distance yourself because that's something so painful and just don't want to touch, which is entirely human and understandable if you chose that route, or at least take a couple of days to recoup, right? But you just watching you how you just kind of put all of your energy again into another set of actions to take. It was very inspiring in my eyes. So, congrats!
Thanks.
Celebrate the small wins. So yeah, that's it. That's what we would like to talk about today. Hopefully, for anyone who's out there who's going through something tough, whether it's a similar situation, we know because in the current climate, and a lot of people are probably going through similar struggles if you're in the job market and trying to land a job. It's incredibly, if it's not hard before, it's even harder now. So hopefully what we had just shared at least give you some sort of comfort and know that it's okay to feel a little bit defeated, and it depends on how long you process your emotions. It doesn't say that you literally like Lincoln, you jump out of the bed and you just start doing things. Part of it sometimes people do things out of fear or out of hope, right? I'm sure you've heard of that. But to me, like most people say, like don't do things out of fear. But to me, sometimes I think fear actually fuels some of the actions or give you energy. So it's okay if you're someone who always wants to look at things, look glass half full or half empty, whatever that motivates you. And definitely, I feel like actions are one of the good ways to move things forward. Yeah. So thank you all, and thanks Lincoln for sharing your incredibly personal experience with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we'll see you next. Bye.
Bye. Stay well.